All right. So far, so good. Yes. Hi, folks. I know I'm starting a little early. That's largely because I am putting together the ingredients and all that. And I think folks would be upset if I went live without, if I used my little um, cast iron apple core peeler thingy and didn't go live from doing it. So, yeah, basically, this is an excuse to play with my little apple corer here. So I'm actually quite happy about that. Gotta get these stickers off the apples. All right, do this right. Yeah, that's right. Actually, I should probably take the stem out first just to be safe. Here's hoping I can get this thing to work right. There we go. Now, this is not even. Oh, hopefully this will work. I never liked it when it was lopsided, and this is why. Great. Okay, come on. It's not working, is it? Nope. It's too lopsided. Okay, let's try again. I haven't ruined this thing. That looks like it could work. Oh, come on. Son of a... Off to a wonderful start here. Is this thing ruined on the inside? Joy. Okay, I may have to do this by hand. I'll make one more attempt. And we'll see if we can get this thing to work the way it's supposed to. Oh, do stem side. Yeah, duh. Didn't think of that. All right. Even though I've kind of chopped in. Let's try again. Yeah, you're right. That might work. Maybe. Nope. It's still not working. Okay. I have to say, I've never had this happen before with an apple. All right. Well, not giving up. If I have to do it by hand, then I'll do it by hand. But of course, that's the reason why I got this thing. However, we will try one more time. If this doesn't work, well, then it doesn't work. Well, this one's working the way it's supposed to. So maybe that might have just been a bad apple. Well, that's good. Makes me feel a little better. There's one. The other hard part is getting the core off. Come on, there we go. Because I don't want to stab myself with this thing. Really? Well, you know how that Michael Jackson song goes, one bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch. All right. Let's try again. Okay. All right. Oh, that's two. Okay. The other problem is holding this thing down. There we go. Yeah, I love using this thing, even though this is what Alton Brown calls a unitasker. I have to admit, this thing is a lot of fun to use, and it really does help make peeling apples and coring apples much easier. All right, the squirrels in my yard love those apple cores. label. Let's see what this one does. Okay. That's 3. So far, so good. I am going to have to chop that last one by hand. Because I don't have any more other than that. I'm supposed to use 6 apples in this pie. Come on. There we go. And the last one. Well, that's 5 out of 6. And like I said, come on. There we go. That was the very first time in all the years I've been doing this that I've run into a bad apple like that, so to speak. Okay, now that we've done that, you got a knife. I don't want to get this in anybody's way. There we go. That'll do. No, that won't do. Do not want this thing to fall on the floor. Okay. All I need to do is one chop and another chop. And I have sliced a whole apple. That's how easy it is. And that's another reason why I love this thing. I'm using entirely the wrong knife for this. Okay, get fancy here. You know, 5 might be enough. These are big apples, and they're producing a fair amount of apple slices. I'm only doing one 9-inch pie, so, you know, this may very well be enough. Which means I get to chow down on a few spare apple pieces because I love apples. Hmm. Even if they are tart, put the knife away. Knives always require special attention. I'll put this to the side. So yeah, we've got a rather big bowl of apple slices here. This, with any luck, this should be enough for the pie. What I should do is put in a little bit of lemon juice, to kind of like help preserve the apples. Also, throw in a little bit of sugar as well for them to marinate or macerate, rather. Because in a pie, there's almost no such thing as too much sugar. Okay, hello. Hello to Jimmy Langford and Cynthia Wesley and Ronald Coward and Leslie S. We are pumpkin pie fans, so I make them with butternut squash. That's good. Pat Z, what kind of pies is everybody making for tea day? Yes, exactly. That's why I'm glad to have a pie discussion going on here, because that's especially good for this kind of year. So we have apple slices. One other thing I need to do in advance, although since it's about that time, I guess I'll have to do this during the live. I'm supposed to use toasted almonds, and all I found were raw almonds, which means I'm going to have to toast these things. Oh, that shouldn't be too difficult. However, it is that time, so let me clear up my mess, including this extra apple. Oh, yeah, no. It looks like this one was a bad apple. I mean, if you look on the inside, yeah, just my luck. Funny, I don't think I've ever had that happen with a Granny Smith apple before. Usually that happens with Red Delicious. Anyway. Okay, which means no time like the present. So let's get this a little closer here. Do hope you've been able to hear okay, folks. As far as I can tell, this thing is not on mute, which means no time like the present. Hi there. Welcome, everybody, to Cast Iron Wednesday, a regular tradition that a number of the smaller YouTube cooking channels have been doing every Wednesday. We like doing a cast iron video on Wednesdays, and we made it a tradition. That's kind of what the name is all about. Because why not? I mean, after all, any excuse to play with cast iron on a regular basis is certainly a good excuse, and that's why I'm more than happy to take part in Cast Iron Wednesday myself. I've actually been doing this live now for going on for more than 4 years somehow, and I've somehow managed to survive it, although I may have burned my hair off at some point or another during the past 4 years. Other than that, though, I've really enjoyed doing these live videos each week, and so that's why I'm more than happy to be back here once again, especially since we are going to be having a giveaway contest tonight, which I'm sure some folks have heard about. That's why it looks like we've got 60 people in this live already. And yes, hello to everybody. Hello to Val's Black Cats Rule and Pat Z, Cynthia Wesley, Rick Stumbow. Hello, Jim I still can't pronounce your name right. Is it Glather? And hello, Greg Hart and Handsome Stone. Pay attention. Mine's got some bug that's going. Oh, I see. Your kid's caught a bug. Well, it is that kind of year, that time of year, unfortunately. And well, better now than Christmas or Thanksgiving. And don't forget to thumbs up. Well, thank you very much. Glathar, not Glathar. Okay, Glathar. I'm going to have to remember that, although I've been really terrible with names, I'm afraid. It takes a long time for me to remember names, and then don't even mention trying to match names to faces. But nonetheless, thank you to everybody who's been kind enough to show up here this evening, because yes, as I mentioned, we are indeed doing a giveaway contest tonight. So let's show it, shall we? Yes, indeed. This is a Lodge cast iron skillet. It is a modern day one. It was made in 2021, in fact. Lodge Cast Iron made these especially for Cracker Barrel, for the annual Cracker Barrel American Heritage Series, which they've been producing each year since about 2012. And typically each year, these things have sold out at Cracker Barrel by around the 4th of July or so. Only once has Lodge reproduced a Cracker Barrel skillet on their own, and that was the Buffalo Nickel skillet. Every other one has since really gone out of production, which means, I guess, technically, this might very well be a collector's item. I'm not saying that really to try to get more people to want this, because, well, as I said, I am, in fact, giving this away as the prize in tonight's contest. And the reason why is because, well, we did just have Veterans Day coming up. Or no, it has just passed. It was only 2 days ago. And I thought it would be as good a time as any, really, to, well, just that, to present this particular cast iron pan to the folks, especially since also, well, as you know, we had an election, a national election last week, which again, all of this is related to the United States, and so is this. The message on the pan is something that will be discussed at another time. Right now, though, nonetheless, as promised, as I said, this is a 10-inch. It's a typical modern day Lodge skillet. Otherwise, so if folks don't like using modern day Lodge cast iron as some do, well, then that means, well, then I don't know. Maybe that means they might not be in this contest. But everybody here in the live chat is, in fact, welcome to take part. Now, before we get going, I do have a couple of rules that I am required to state, to make this nice and fair. And that is that, well, number one, I'm supposed to identify who I am promoting with this particular contest. And the truth is, I am not promoting anyone. That cast iron pan I bought myself back in 2021. It was not presented to me as a gift or promotional item or anything like that. And I'm just doing this really, if anything, I guess, excuse me, to promote my YouTube channel and my webpage, which of course is Cast Iron Chaos. I mean, my videos are monetized by YouTube, but otherwise I'm not making any money from this, and I'm not asking to make money from this. In that, even though there's an option there to give donations here in the live chat, I have never required it, and in general, I don't go asking for it, so don't worry about that. Now that means someone has said something they want you to see. Oh, okay. Didn't Lodge used to put the year on those pans? The Cracker Barrel series, no, they never put the year on those pans. For a very brief time, 2018 through 2020, Lodge produced a yearly series of their own Made in America pans. And in those ones, they did indeed put the year of manufacture on them. However, they stopped making those after 2020. So there are only 3 in that series: 2018, which is the Made in America one with the flag; 2019, which was Made in America, and they actually had the bust of an eagle on it. That one did not really go over very well. And then in 2020, Lodge produced the Rosie the Riveter skillet, which has become something of a collector's item in itself, for just because of the coincidence that had a lot to do with the pandemic. In 2020, Cracker Barrel, they made a George Washington skillet, and I believe that was the first time they did a 12-inch cast iron skillet for Cracker Barrel. However, the next year, 2021, was when they produced this for Cracker Barrel, the United We Stand. And again, no, this does not have the year on it. Some of the Cracker Barrel series, I personally find, I don't think they were as well designed as they could have been. I mean, they're all nice. They are cast iron pans. Some of them, I think, looked a little, I don't know, what's the word, garish maybe, or even cartoony, like the one in particular, like the Mount Rushmore skillet in particular, I think. However, this one I thought was indeed very well designed, and that was one reason why I picked it up. Okay, having said all that, since, as I said, this is not for any kind of monetary gain, now let's get started. Because in order to, as I said, I designed this little giveaway to try to try to reduce the number of scams and ripoffs that are all over the internet, especially YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and all that, to ensure that the only way anybody can win this particular prize is to be present in this chat here tonight. And to do that, it really means that in order to be entered into the chat, and you, meaning you must type into the chat the secret word that I'm going to be presenting to you. You only need to type it in once, but you don't have to. But if you don't type it in once, well, it's not going to be counted here. Because, again, you don't have to flood the chat, and you don't need to keep typing the secret word over and over and over again. Just once is enough, because I am logging this chat. And I'm going to I'm going to take the name of every person who has been who has typed the secret word into the chat, so that I will then tally up those names, and we will have a random drawing where everybody has a fair chance of winning. So again, it's not necessary to to type the secret word over and over and over, but please type it at least once. This particular drawing contest will end when this live video ends. Typing the secret word into the comments of this YouTube video will not enter you into the contest. Meaning, you folks here in the chat are the ones who will have the chance to win this. All right. And having said all that, now's the time I can finally get down to the other thing I wanted to do tonight. And I mentioned this last week, and that is, once again, I'm not exactly getting political, but there is a cause that I found near and dear to my heart that I do try to push every year at this time every year. And in fact, I better get it out of the refrigerator. And that cause that I am promoting is Cranberries. No, not this particular brand, just Cranberries. Because yes, this is, as you know, cranberry sauce is, well, you might even call it like the fruitcake of Thanksgiving, because cranberry sauce is one of those dishes in Thanksgiving that is maligned, misused, abused, and generally it's the type of thing that everybody seems to serve at Thanksgiving and nobody ever wants to eat it. That's because most of the time people are not doing it right. I mean, yeah, I know you've got that Jello cranberry stuff in the can that everybody looks at and they wonder what they're supposed to do with it. Some people actually serve it over lettuce like a salad or something like that. But in fact, cranberry sauce is delicious, especially when you make it yourself. Even although there are people who do like the canned stuff too. However, here's the thing about cranberry sauce. You see, cranberry sauce is a sauce. I mean, it says it right in the name, but that actually means it's a sauce. And you know what you're supposed to do with a sauce? You serve it over your food. Cranberry sauce is supposed to be served on top of your turkey. And no, I'm not kidding. A lot of people just eat it as a side dish, but really, that's like eating spaghetti sauce as a side dish if you just eat it out of a bowl and then have your spaghetti separately. So, no, you are indeed supposed to spoon it over your turkey. At which point, then you eat the whole thing together, and the flavor combination is incredible. That was what really won me over about cranberry sauce. About in that the first time I made cranberry sauce by myself and actually served it on top of my turkey, I have a friend who described it as poetry on a plate. And so, yes, I was definitely won over. I have since joined the cult of cranberry sauce, and that's why we are talking about cranberries tonight. And I've been talking on and on and on. Leslie asks, my mom made the 50s version with cranberry sauce, jello, mashed bananas, chopped walnuts, mini marshmallows with sour cream on top. Yes, exactly. That's not the type of thing that you serve on a turkey, is it? On the other hand, that doesn't sound too bad either. That sounds like some kind of a dessert. Cranberry sauce over my smoked turkey and cranberry chaos. Yes, exactly. Reminder that anybody can type the secret word anytime at all during this chat. You don't have to just do it when I hold up the cue card. The point is, you do need to just simply type in the secret word at least once before this live video is over. Smoked cranberry on smoked salmon. Oh, that all sounds good. Yes. So as a result, now that I've talked enough, good grief, it's already quarter past. Let's get started. Now, the thing is, though, is that this is actually not going to be too difficult. However, I do have one thing that I still need to do. I've got one little bit of preparation here to do, and that means at least we get to go down to, let me turn this heat back on. I turned it off just so that it wouldn't get too hot. But this particular pie I'm making tonight is in fact a cranberry almond apple pie. And that means that the cranberry, in addition to the cranberries and the apples, I'm supposed to use toasted almonds. I couldn't find any. I could only find some raw almonds, which means I guess I'm just gonna have to toast up these almonds myself. And I'm only supposed to use about a third of a cup, so this really should not take very long at all. This is probably more than enough, in fact. I'm just going to toast these up, and then from there I will I'll just crush them up in the mortar and pestle. Nothing to it. Toasting really just involves just that, namely that you stir the. Let me move the microphone over. Toasting just involves stirring whatever you're toasting on a dry cast iron pan or any other kind of pan, and I'm stirring it around so that it doesn't burn. But on the other hand, these things will slowly cook until the point where they should just begin to smoke, and at that point we're done and they are toasted. I am using, for the record, a number 3 size Red Mountain Birmingham stove and range skillet. Nothing to it. Okay. Louis got a BSR Red Mountain, and so he's holding the good luck now. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. You get them as toasty as you like. Yes, exactly. Hope the family is doing well. I hope so, too. What brand is this cast iron pan? Once again, this is a Red Mountain series cast iron pan by Birmingham Stove and Range. I should have actually held up the bottom before I put these almonds in, but I will show you the bottom after they are done, because this should really only take a few minutes or so. I mean, this pan is definitely going to get good and hot. And as I said, all we need to do is get these things until the point when they are toasted. Meanwhile, in the background here, this is the saucepan I'm going to make cranberry sauce in as well. And this is also a BSNR saucepan that I managed to find at Brimfield, of all places. And if I remember right, I paid $10 for it at Brimfield. I can't believe that I've probably had this for almost 10 years now. Oh man, it's like I'm getting to the point where I can name the 10-year anniversary for a number of my cast iron pans, and that's actually a little scary, because I got into this hobby in 2010, started making these videos like late 2011 to 2012. Can't believe how much time has gone by and that I've actually been doing this for 12 years. Anyway. Hubby says I can't have any more cast iron. Oh yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, this is one of the rules of cast ironitis. If your family and friends insist that you do not get them any cast iron for Christmas because you've already plied them with more cast iron than they'll ever need, you might have cast ironitis. And if your hubby says no more cast iron, well, I can only imagine you probably have a collection that's almost as big as mine. But I have seen collections far bigger than mine, so that's why I don't really feel so bad. Even though I have to keep telling myself, no, I'm not a hoarder. I am not a hoarder. I am not a hoarder. All right. If you can't have any more cast iron, hide it. Jim Glatar. Your husband paid you, put you on an involuntary moratorium? Well, I'm sure your husband has some kind of a hobby that he probably can't splurge on either. Being fair. Nikota, N Coyote 102. Well, thank you very much. Are you going to out some of that cranberry sauce over your leftover cornbread? That actually doesn't sound like a bad plan. I mean, cranberry sauce is sweet, and I might very well do that. All right. As again, it's only going to take maybe a couple more minutes at most, I think. Yeah, this is definitely, well, I'm definitely feeling it. On the other hand, as I said, I don't want these things to burn either. It's kind of like walking the thin line between toasting it and burning it, almost like when you prepare a roux. But that's also why you have to keep the roux moving so that you don't burn it either. Nonetheless, once we do this, and I only have one other thing, and that is to prepare pie crust. But I've already done the dry ingredients on the pie crust, so all we really need to do is mix the rest of the ingredients together. I do like making my pie crust from scratch because they're better than store-bought. I'm not boasting. I'm actually saying that as a fact, especially since my particular apple pie has a crust that uses things like booze. So yeah, any excuse to cook with alcohol is a good excuse. As Julia Child likes to say, I love cooking with wine. Sometimes I even use it in the food. All right. Radagast. My friend makes cranberry sauce with orange juice and rind. Oh, that actually sounds interesting. I recently learned that zest is a good thing. I think I just heard the first little pop, which is, I just heard another one, which means I think these things are getting to the point. Oh, now I've heard another one. These things are starting to get to the point where they are indeed going to be considered toasted. I didn't know they would snap, crackle, and pop, but that's a good sign too. I mean, I have toasted spices, for instance, for making corned beef. and you just simply stir it around until it starts to snap, crackle, and pop. And that's exactly what this is doing right now. So, especially since I don't want to burn these things, let's turn off the heat and get this off of the heat. Let me see. I did forget something. Excuse me 1 second. Specifically, here it is over here. I forgot the mortar and pestle, because that's what I'm going to be doing to these things. So, let's move back. I don't want to trip over this cord. I've done that enough times already. Here's the mortar and pestle. And need my... Let's move the microphone back over. Yeah, you too. Okay, and in go our toasted almonds. I'm sure there are people who would probably continue toasting it even at this point, but this is really all I need. Ooh, these things are actually hissing as I crush them. So yeah, they are definitely toasted. Ooh, and I can smell them too, and it's a nice smell. You know, the smell of roasted nuts. Chestnuts, or at least almonds, roasting on an open skillet. And that's probably enough. I don't need to pulverize these things either. Which means we have toasted almonds. Okay, now that we've done that, yeah, those almonds are pissed off. Yeah. Well, I think you would be too if somebody hit you over the head with a big piece of granite. All right, move these cranberries back over. Now that means now that we've done that, let's finish making a pie crust. I have already come on, why can't I get a better view of this? There we go. I've already mixed together the dry ingredients, and the recipe for my apple pie, I think I can move this over here. The recipe for my apple pie is available on my website. If you go to my website and look up magical apple pie, you will find it. And it's one of those recipes that I'm quite proud of. At this point, in fact, well, let me dig out my phone just to be sure. But I believe all we need to do at this point is mix in butter and liquid to turn this into dough. Just want to okay. One stick of butter and half a cup, well, actually a quarter cup of liquor. All right, well, that'll be easy enough. In fact, since it's supposed to be cold butter, we got to get it out of the fridge right now. Well, that also means I have to move this aside because I forgot something else. Pastry cutter. Here it is. We need to do this quickly to keep this butter cold. All right, move this to the side. And a reminder once again, folks, if you have not done so already, you can certainly type the secret word into the chat. But if you have already typed it in, you don't have to type it in again. I mean, I realize you can if you want to, but it's not absolutely necessary. Just typing it once into the chat is all that you need so that we can log this and make sure that you are indeed entered into the contest. To give away, the giveaway for that United We Stand cast iron skillet. And that applies as well to anybody who has just shown up for this chat tonight. All you need to do to be entered is to type the secret word into the chat. All right, we're supposed to mix this butter in, and then at that point, we start adding the liquid. Doing it the old-fashioned way here because I'm only supposed to make this is not this is a single crust pie, meaning that it's going to be an open top. There's not going to be a crust on the top, so this should not be too difficult. The difficult part, of course, is using this thing. Anybody who's used a pastry cutter should be familiar with this part. Anyway, I'm supposed to keep going until the butter, until I spill everything all over the place, until the butter is worked in, more or less. Of course, I haven't added any liquid to it yet. Just one more time. I keep getting my hand in front of the camera. I do apologize for that. I'm doing this for years, and I still keep getting my hand in front of the camera. One of these days, I'll get it right. However, with any luck, we should be at the point where we can start adding the booze. And here is one trick that I learned years ago about making a pie crust. And that is that a good way to avoid getting forming gluten and making this too thick or too tough of a crust is don't use water, use alcohol. And so that's also a good excuse to break this thing open. I can't even find the seal on this. Oh, no wonder, because it doesn't have one. Okay. So we're supposed to do just a 1/4 cup of booze. One other thing about using alcohol in the crust, people will also be looking forward to your pie. And of course, the alcohol evaporates, or at least most of it. It evaporates as you bake it. So it is still safe to serve to your entire family. I don't think I've heard a single case of anybody ever getting drunk from a pie crust. In fact, I have a brother who is a recovering alcoholic. Technically, as you know, you spend your entire life being a recovering alcoholic. And I did, in fact, make this kind of a pie and served it to him without telling that, of course. And he had no trouble at all with it. I only did that to my brother. I don't do that to to friends and other persons. All right. This time I'm not getting my hand in front of the camera. I'm just spilling it all over the place again. But we're finally getting close. Yes, indeed. Old-fashioned pie crust making without a blender or mixer. And or food processor, as most of those YouTube videos these days use a food processor to make their pie crust. Not that there's anything wrong with that. The idea is quite simply whatever works. However, I think I'm at the point now. Scrape this off one last time. I think I'm at the point where it is time to just simply get in with my hands. Because then we'll be ready to put a pie together. All right. I drop that on the floor. Ugh. Okay, let's also remove my ring. Just like when I do cookie dough, when it reaches the point where it doesn't seem to mix anymore, just get in with my hands and start mixing. Between the butter and the booze, it is coming together. I am tempted to add a few more drops of liquid nonetheless, only a few. Yeah, I think, as I said, it is coming together, but maybe just a dab more, not much, of the booze. Like that. In fact, I hope it didn't use too much. Because now it's changing its consistency very quickly. Now, that all came together very quickly now, but now as a result, I have a very wet dough. So, might have to go the other route and throw a little bit more flour in to dry it. Yeah, my bad. That butter has got to be melting by now. There is that too. Yeah, no, this is definitely, again, may not be the best dough, I will say that. I mean, I've said enough times before that I'm not a professional. However, now I think, well, let me wash my hands very quickly. Because probably should have been a little bit more patient and not added that extra bit of liquid. Oh, well. Here's hoping I don't ruin it even more by throwing just a little bit more flour in. Carefully. That's the other thing. Yep, there we go. Dry my hands. Actually, that looks like it's working. I think it's getting to the point now where I can probably, yeah, this is actually looking good now. In fact, I'll put this entire thing aside. Okay, because it looks like we've got it. Yay. Yeah, I know, butter's probably melted. Okay. Voila, pie dough. Not Play-Doh, pie dough. Which means, let's throw this into the fridge for just a few minutes. Wipe this off a little bit, because at least now it's time to get out a little bit more cast iron. All right, and that would be the large cast iron pie plate, which I got as soon as it premiered with their baking collection. So, yeah, everything is. I can't believe how long my collection is aging. I'm thinking I've had this close to 5 years at least now. So yeah, nonetheless, Greg, I'm having it now, and it is killer. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for watching my live. Oh, honey badger. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, just the right size to go into my convection oven. I'm making chili mac with my leftover chili. Nice. All of that sounds good. Okay, to this. Let's break out a little bit of Crisco. Don't need a lot. Grease up the pie plate. And once we've done all this, we can finally prepare the pie. Okay, at last. Now let's put this Crisco away and get that dough back out. All right. Since this is only going to be a single crust pie, I think I will just do it the hard way because that's what I usually do. Just simply push it down and press it out so that it fits into the pie plate. I considered using that United We Stand skillet to make this pie, but I figured, especially since I freshly seasoned it before this video, I thought I might just leave it as is so that it is in almost new condition. Anyway, this is all going to even out when it bakes into the oven. As I mentioned, this is only a single crust pie. I'm not going to be laying another sheet of dough over the top. Also, the nice thing is I can pretty much fill in the holes if and when they appear. Just kind of even it out a little bit. And that's really all we need to do. Okay, the lodge sounds like a great find. It's from the 20s and 30s. Oh, well, obviously we're not talking about this. This cast iron pan's only about 5 years old or so. So it sounds like somebody made a good score and they found themselves a vintage lodge skillet. And congratulations on that. I'm thinking. I think I recently saw a picture of a single notch lodge. In which case, then you must have made a good score with it. They started them in the 1930s. Really? That's the single notch lodge? I was of the impression, well, but I might be wrong, that the single notch lodge was more like 1920s or so. Nonetheless, I recognize there are folks with a lot more knowledge than I have regarding the history of lodge cast iron. Okay, haha. And we have our pie dough. All right, you should roll it out, then lay it in the pan. Yeah, I considered that, but I figured it would probably be a little easier to just simply press it into the pan, especially since there is baking powder in this crust and it is going to expand as it bakes. Okay, what's y'all's temp? Oh, temp! I haven't preheated the oven. Let's get that going. Fortunately, this recipe, not my recipe, but this recipe calls for just a 350-degree oven, which means now that we've done this, if we wasted this much time, it is time now. Oh, I hate these websites. I really am getting tired of these recipe websites. If you don't do anything, it scrolls all the way up to the top and it gives you 200 pop-ups as well. So try it this way. There we go. All right, let's put this aside as it heats up. Dig out another bowl. This happens every time. I think I have all my prep work done, and I always find I'm missing a whole bunch of things. Okay. Anyway, now that we've done this, let's cut frozen cranberries. All right. Directions. Let's try again. Okay, got it. In a bowl, combine sugar, flour, add apples and cranberries. Okay, got it. Oh, that's easy enough. Oh, come on with the stupid pop-up ads. Okay, here we go. We combine 1 cup sugar, 1 cup sugar, 1/4 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons butter melted. Oops. Okay, that means I've got a little thing, another thing I need to do here. All right. Let's dig that butter back out quickly. Since I need to melt some butter, always something, isn't it? About 3 tablespoons worth. That's about here. That means we get to throw this back. Don't want this. Sorry about that. I've got these cords all over the place. This is what I get since I stopped using a cordless microphone. And let us very quickly melt up 3 tablespoons of butter, which, as you can see, is not going to take long at all. Microphone. Melting up 3 tablespoons of butter in this Red Mountain cast iron skillet. In fact, at the moment this is melted, I'm going to have to take it off the heat because I don't want it to be too hot. All right. Out of the handle, cooking cranberries. Yeah, eventually I'm going to get down to the cranberries. Yes, I know. All of this so far has been just preparing a pie. But yes, this is actually a cranberry almond pie. And yeah, that meant I had to do all the prep work, which meant toasting the almonds, preparing the pie crust, and I made the mistake of not melting this butter in advance. But the cranberries are coming next, incredibly. Oh yeah, I also started the live early, especially so that I could, slice those apples. I had a bit of a mishap there too. What a surprise. In fact, I can already turn the heat off. because we've done what we wanted to do. That means get back again to our bowl. And now we have, yay. In fact, I did this fast enough that I can even hold this without burning myself. Nice. 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Because, yeah, I had to do it the hard way, like always. 3 tablespoons butter melted. Half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And here's the other thing I'm doing the hard way. Actually, let me get this butter out of the way. Here's the other thing I'm doing the hard way. And that is, do I have any of these things used? Doesn't look like it. So in that case, cool. I get to start a fresh nutmeg. Okay. That also means let's do some nutmeg. And yes, I'm doing it the hard way because it's really not hard at all. A couple of years ago, I started grating my own nutmeg. And like I've said enough times already, I became a convert. There is a noticeable difference between grinding your own nutmeg and just buying the powdered stuff. Even the so-called fancy stuff from McCormick. It is much better. Oh man, can I smell that. It is much better to simply grind your own nutmeg because, as you can see, it's very easy. There are some things that are much more difficult to grind, but nutmeg is not one of them. It's easy to hold. It is dry, as you can see. It grates very easily. And just like that, we have about half a teaspoon of freshly ground nutmeg. Meanwhile, I just throw this thing. Let me do this again. Come on. Meanwhile, I just throw this thing. Oh, damn it! Did I just do that? How come it's always something? Rinse this off. Now I'm going to have to dry this thing out. Ah! Seriously, it's like, never mind. Okay. Even so, I still prefer grinding my own nutmeg. Okay, for M. Morris, they make a nutmeg grinder. What's the point when you can just as easily use a microplane? Or for that matter, if you have a regular spice grinder too, if you want to do it that way. Okay, anyway, we're almost done. Okay, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, which really, how much is 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt? It's like maybe, and that's it. Yay, and now that we've done that, at long last, we get to throw in our apple slices. And finally, at long last as well, 1 cup of cranberries. So finally, after talking about this all evening, we actually get to see some cranberries. And it's about time, too. After all, isn't this show tonight supposed to be about cranberries? Yeah, and that's why I pour this over the bowl. Good enough. There it is, at last. All right. Yeah, as you can see, my record here for chaos is holding strong. Pretty much, as you know, the motto here in my kitchen is Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it will. And now at this point, we just simply coat all of the cranberries and mix them together, and apples with the rest of these spices, including the sugar, flour, butter, nutmeg. Let me double check that. Did I miss any cinnamon in this? As a matter of fact, I did not, because we're going to be doing a topping as well, and the topping will have the cinnamon, as well as those almonds, which are certainly cooled off by now. Just trying to make sure everything is well coated from the bottom to the top. Because once we do this, we just simply dump it all into the pie. And of course, everything here is going to shrink as they bake as well. You know what? Throw in a few more of these. Because after all, this is supposed to be a cranberry apple pie. Just get them all mixed up. And at last, finally ready to go into our pie. Here is, okay, the Lodge pie plate. Now, here's hoping I don't have a disaster here, as I just, yep, there it goes. That sure didn't take long, did it? Try to spread this out here, to make sure there isn't too much extra space. Oh, good grief. Yes, indeed. Murphy's Law is very strong tonight in my kitchen. But if that's the worst thing that happens, good. So I'd better be careful that is the worst thing that happens. I'm sure Louis is taking notes here, basically learning what not to do when he makes this pie. I'd have to say, in fact, the large pie plate might even be too small, because we've got all of this yet. So you know what? I may very well actually have to make another pie, but I don't think we have time to do that tonight. So I will put this aside, and as we do one other thing, which is prepare the topping. All right, the one great thing about coyotes is, okay, so we're talking about coyotes. My coyotes is why my cats are indoors by 5 p.m. Ouch. Shelby Rodriguez, I'm happy to know the pan is close to 100 years old. Ouch. Nice, rather. I wish I could post a picture and show up. Pan is super crusty, no signs of rust anywhere, and sits flat. Well, you might want to consider taking off the crust. But, okay, we've got this much. The last thing to do now is to prepare the topping. So, dig out one last little bowl, which should be fine. Let's put the pie someplace safe so I don't knock it over or anything. Okay, topping coming up. 1/2 cup packed brown sugar. Good thing at least I did take my ingredients out. Half cup. Here it is. 1/2 cup packed brown sugar. Packed simply means just that. That's packed brown sugar. Cover back on ASAP. 1/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour, meaning a little bit more flour. Okay. And here is where we do our cinnamon. 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Oh, here we go again. 3 tablespoons of cold butter. It says cold butter this time. You got a little bit more butter, it seems. This is what I get for, even though I did peruse this recipe before before I started tonight, this is what I get really for trying somebody else's recipes. Actually, I better not say that. That sounds too egotistical, and I apologize. Besides, we are making progress nonetheless. 1, 2. That's about 3 tablespoons of butter. Put this back in the butter dish right now. A reminder to anybody who has been kind enough to show up on this live, please be sure to type the secret word at least once into the chat in order to be included in the giveaway. If you have already typed in the secret word, you do not need to do so again. I'm only counting when you type it in once. All right. And finally, actually, we should probably mix these things together here right now. I'm suspecting, since we're using cold butter, I'm suspecting probably need to get out this this thing again as quickly as we can. Because we're using cold butter, that's why. Okay, and finally, after all this, one more time. The last thing we add is the almonds that we toasted earlier. And that is that. And this entire crumble will go on top of the pie in lieu of an upper crust. Finally. Ooh, 9 o'clock already. I can't believe the time has gone so fast. Especially since we're supposed to bake this. It says here, bake until apples are tender, about 1 hour. Oh boy. I think I took too long preparing this. Oh well. Granted, this is a gas oven. That might actually bake it faster, perhaps. There we go. There is our crumble. Here comes the pie. best as I can. You just know I'm going to spill this all over the place if I'm not careful. In fact, I want to get this on camera here. Yeah, lately it does seem like I've been making quite the mess here on these live videos. And since I'm by myself, that means I'm the one who cleans them up the next day. I was worried that there wouldn't be enough topping, but it looks like we have more than enough, in fact. Because I do believe we have it. Again, these apples are going to shrink as they bake, so that should not be too much of a problem. All right, that means a little bit more here. Finally, after all this, oh, good grief. Okay, this goes in the sink right now. Okay. All right, just pat that down with your hands. Yeah, carefully, that is. There we go, and you're right, actually. Just pushing it down a little bit certainly does help. There we go. That will certainly help, which means, at long last, okay, at long last, this goes into the oven. Middle rack. Oh, that was fun. Put a pan or foil under the pan. Oh, yes, and I know exactly why. Okay, then let's quickly the camera. You're exactly right. I don't want this thing to burn, so let's get out an aluminum sheet. Thank you very much for the advice. Because I don't trust myself. Up. Down. And in. There. Thank you for the advice. Okay. Cranberries are pretty sour. Maybe a third of a cup. Okay, did anyone see the reel of the moose eating the pumpkin pie cooling on the porch in Colorado? Well, that sounds amusing. This would probably be also made with Asian pears instead of apples. You're probably right, old-fashioned coffee pot. I mean, I don't see why not. All right, now that we've done all that, we do have, well, since that thing is sitting in the oven, it's time to get out the other thing that I wanted to make this evening. There we go. This is actually a pretty good view. Let's move the microphone back over here one more time. Ugh. And say hello to everybody to a 2-quart Birmingham Stove and Range cast iron saucepan, which is my go-to for when it comes to making this particular dish. And that would be cranberry sauce at long last, which I was talking about earlier this evening. This is also extremely easy. It only requires 4 ingredients. And although actually I think I'm wrong, I think I forgot the cinnamon. Even so, okay, let's do this quickly here. we're going to be using half cup. Okay. We're going to be using half a cup of white sugar. Half a cup of brown sugar. And to this, actually, here's the part I think where we throw in a little bit, just a little bit of cinnamon. Don't need to use a lot. Yeah, great. I just said don't use a lot. Okay. Nonetheless. And then the liquid, which of course is absolutely necessary. And that would be orange juice. So, here's my cup. 1 cup of orange juice. Fresh container of orange juice. Oh, come on. Please don't do this. How is it? I can't. Stupid thing with the. There we go. 1 cup of orange juice. There. And to all this, we throw in what else? But last time going into the fridge tonight. More cranberries. Specifically, in this case, a whole 12-ounce bag of cranberries. Nice and easy, almost as if the recipe was designed to use a whole bag. It would help if I turned on the heat, wouldn't it? Just have the heat at medium. And now we start stirring. Spatula go, there it is. Okay. And now, at long last, I help the cranberries come into their own. This is what I said earlier this evening. It was when I started making cranberry sauce from scratch. Yeah, I used too much cinnamon. This is going to be like a cinnamon cranberry sauce. When I started making cranberry sauce from scratch, I fell in love. In that I am one of those people, once again, who grew up my entire life. I never wanted to touch cranberry sauce. You know, that Jello stuff in a can that they had been bringing out at Thanksgiving, really since I was a baby, and probably even before. You know, the jelly stuff that, yes, some people do actually like. I have heard from people saying they prefer the canned stuff. However, again, I was one of those people who would say I never liked cranberry sauce, even though I can't even remember the last time I had eaten it. Until when once I learned how to cook and I started experimenting and trying new things, I tried making homemade cranberry sauce using this very recipe. No more than a combination of a cup of sugar, cup of orange juice, the cranberries themselves, and yes, I did throw in a little bit much more cinnamon than I should have. Even so, it's just a matter of cooking this until the cranberries pop. There are some people who skim the scum or the foam off of the cranberry sauce as it's cooking. I've never seen any need to do that. I've served my cranberry sauce pretty much just like that after it is all popped, and it has been wonderful. As I said, I was hooked on cranberry sauce, especially when I learned that cranberry sauce is meant to be served on top of your turkey. I mean, yes, some there are people. It's as I said, most families they just serve cranberry sauce as a side dish because they have no idea how to prepare it. That included my family. I've already seen people in the chat here tonight who mentioned that their cranberry sauce is more like some kind of a dessert, with a whole bunch of fruits and other things mixed in. And I have no doubt that that actually sounds pretty good because when they're sweetened, cranberries are delicious. However, cranberry sauce is meant just like that. It is meant to be served on your turkey. That's why they call it cranberry sauce. It's because it's a sauce and it's meant to be served over something. And I have been doing my best to get people to try cranberry sauce. You don't have to try this recipe. Be nice if you do, of course, but you don't have to try this recipe. Just simply find a cranberry sauce recipe that appeals to you. Or even if you want to use the canned stuff, my understanding is the canned stuff, in fact, you can actually mix that in with something, so that it doesn't have that quite that same taste. But you mix it in. Anyway, you serve it over your turkey and you eat it all together, just like you serve your gravy over your turkey. And in fact, that's kind of like the idea. Cranberry sauce is really meant just that as a second alternative to gravy. So that you can have a serving of turkey with gravy, then a serving of turkey with cranberry sauce, and keep going back and forth as many times as you like. All right, having said all this, two large logs of goat cheese. Oh, really? Oh, sounds like you're getting ready for Thanksgiving as well. Turkey puts me to sleep, and then I miss the game. I sometimes toss goat cheese into a pasta dish. I like it in salads and on my homemade focaccia. Oh, okay. Turkey breast is dry. Well, it depends on how you make it, Brian Gilcrease. There's something worth talking about. You see, the thing is, and again, I've learned this, as I said, just from experience, in that I have been making turkey, on Thanksgiving now for the past 13, 14 years. And I have been making these turkey videos for YouTube for the last few years. So, up until recently, I've been making an average of about 2 to 3 turkeys every year around Thanksgiving. So, well, I'm only speaking from experience. And my experience has taught me this: dry turkey breast means it's overcooked. So, likewise, if you end up, and the very first time I made a turkey in cast iron, yeah, I cooked it to the point where I could not even take it out of the cast iron pan. The whole turkey just fell apart. It was that tender. And that meant it was terribly, terribly overcooked. And those are the two things that convinced me that if you want a good turkey, complete with moist and juicy white meat, you absolutely need to use a cooking thermometer. And I have become a convert to cooking using a cooking thermometer and cooking my meat to the right temperature rather than by time. And that especially means turkey. Throw away those instructions that tell you to cook your turkey for 18 minutes a pound or 4 hours at 350 degrees or whatever those instructions are. Do not do that. I don't care what recipe you're following to do that. If you look at most of those recipes, in fact, they usually say cook at whatever minutes per pound or until the temperature reaches 165 degrees. Thing is, of course, is when we don't use a thermometer, we always ignore that part. We just simply cook it like 18 minutes per pound. And as a result, the turkey turns out overcooked with dry white meat and dark meat that is actually nice because it's falling apart. But this is all why I am really encourage everybody to take this little bit of advice. If there's one thing that I ask folks to do, you don't even have to cook your Thanksgiving turkey in cast iron, although it's nice when you do. You don't even have to brine your turkey in advance, although I think that helps. Oh yeah, and it doesn't matter whether you make a roast turkey, a air fryer turkey, a trash can turkey, a Dutch oven turkey, a deep fried turkey, however you want to make your turkey. The absolute golden rule that really should be followed is just that: cook your turkey to the right temperature. And when you do that, you will not have dried out breast meat. You will not have dried out turkey breast. I can only say that I'm speaking from experience, and I would hope that other folks who do this should indeed agree with me, or at least I hope so. Turkey cheek, brine, cook and roaster, and paint with kitchen bouquet, not dry. Yes, whatever works, whatever tricks you want to use, and there are like 1,000 tricks for making your turkey. There are people who like say flip the turkey in, put the turkey in upside down, roast it, breast side down. Start with a blast of 500-degree heat, then you cook it at a slower temperature until it's done, or the other way around. Start at a lower temperature and then give it a blast of heat. Some people do their entire turkey at cook their turkey the entire time at 500 degrees. Or alternatively, you could slow cook your turkey for like 6 hours. Or again, make a trash can turkey. And those of you who know what trash can turkey is, you know what I'm talking about. Or Or again, use a Dutch oven with coals and everything. However you do it, you can make your turkey any way you want as long as you follow that one rule. Cook your turkey to the right temperature. And a probe thermometer is not expensive either. I mean, a fancy probe thermometer is nice, but a typical probe thermometer that you buy at Wally World for like about $15 or so will work just fine. So, yeah, that is one thing what I would encourage you to do. Well, okay, I admit two things I encourage you to do. One, try cranberry sauce. That's kind of like the thing I'm saying again and again here tonight. Try cranberry sauce. If you don't like it, you don't have to eat it and you don't have to make it, but try it. The other is just that. Cook your turkey to the right temperature. Because consider one other thing. Yeah, I'm not done yet. Consider one other thing. Everybody's oven is different. Your oven is not the same as my oven. You don't have Gordon Ramsay's oven, neither do I. For all I know, somebody could be trying to make a Thanksgiving turkey in a cheap, in um, one of those low rent housing complex uh, places run by a slumlord where the oven door doesn't even fit right, and it's a cheap electric oven, maybe with one or two of the stove burners they don't even work, and they're trying to make a Thanksgiving turkey in that is definitely, if you try cooking like say 18 minutes per pound in that, you are not going to have a well done turkey. On the other hand, even in an oven like that, as long as you use a thermometer, you can still get a great Thanksgiving turkey. And yeah, I'm hoping your oven is better than that. I used an electric stove up until only 2 years ago when I moved to my new home with a gas stove. So yes, I was cooking all my turkeys. I was making all of those YouTube videos with an electric oven. Oops. Great, just bump the camera. And yet I still managed to get a good turkey, good enough to use in a YouTube video because I cooked to the right temperature. All right, I'll shut up about that, but I really hope I managed to beat some people over the head with that. Kimberly Miller probably won't have Thanksgiving turkey off. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Kimberly. My condolences. But maybe your family, perhaps, or friends might be able to help. I used sous vide to make my turkey this year. Brody YYC. I hope it turned out okay. What temperature do you suggest for turkey? Yeah, the trick about turkey, then this is why there are 1,000 tricks, is that the breast meat, the white meat, should not go higher than 165 degrees to maybe 170. Otherwise, it will start drying out and you'll get a dry white meat. So you definitely want to keep track of the temperature and cook it until the breast meat reaches just that, about 100, say 160 degrees, so that you can take it out of the heat, and carryover cooking will take it up to the necessary temperature of 165 degrees. On the other hand, the dark meat, you can cook until you reach like maybe 180 or so, and the dark meat starts to fall off the bone. And there are a whole bunch of ways to do that because, yeah, you're cooking your turkey to two different temperatures, 180 to 185 or so for the dark meat, 165 for the white meat. How do you get them to two different temperatures? That's why there are 1,000 different tricks on doing it. I've used several of them, for instance. My favorite way is to use a preheated cast iron pan. You drop the turkey onto the hot cast iron pan, and that helps to cook the dark meat, cook that faster than the white meat. So when the turkey is done, you do have the the breast at 165, whereas the dark meat is falling off the bone. Last year, I cut my turkey up in advance. I cut it into pieces and simply roasted the pieces so that I could take the white meat out of the oven when it reached the right temperature. And that turned out great. And then there are people who want to spatchcock your turkey. Yeah, and those of you who know what spatchcocking is, you'll know what I'm talking about. That all works good. There are many, many ways to make a good turkey. Find the way that appeals to you. That's probably the best advice I can give. And then, in fact, there are some folks who just simply get a turkey breast and just simply make that without having to worry about the dark meat. In which case, you have it even easier. Use a probe thermometer, stick it in, cook it until it reaches that right temperature, like maybe 160 degrees or so. And you're done. Yeah. You take it out, you let it rest, and it'll reach 165. If you're just cooking a turkey breast, for instance, you can just roast it long enough to brown it at, like, I don't know, maybe 350 to 400 degrees or 375. And just that. It is so easy that way. All right. Oh, great. See what you did? You got me all ranting and everything when you mentioned dry turkey breast. But I hope that helped. Gravy and sauce is the only reason I eat at holidays. Cranberry pizza. Ooh, that sounds good. See if he accidentally blocked you. Oh, okay. Bow hunting. Yeah, better luck next time. You live in Iowa. Okay, when the red thing pops, it's done. Throw out the red thing. The red thing is an estimate. The red thing does not have exact temperature control. I always take all of the extras out of my turkey. It's got some kind of a plastic brace on the inside. You got to take that out. I take out the red pop-up thing and just use a thermometer. Use a probe thermometer. Like I said, buy a probe thermometer for like about 15 bucks, whether it's at Wally World or Target or Amazon or wherever you want to get it, and you will have it. You'll be able to use it each year. And you know what? You can use it for other things too. Once you have a probe thermometer, you don't have to just use it at Thanksgiving. You can use it for making roasts, for making, like, say, roast beef or prime rib. You can use it for making roast chicken. You can use it as a candy thermometer. You can use it anything you want to measure the temperature with as it cooks. A probe thermometer is not a unitasker. It is an essential kitchen tool, and I highly recommend using it. All right. Thank you, Dean Reedy, but I'm a bit more than a stone's throw. Oh, okay. Bear stuffing with gravy on top. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. The best thing about Thanksgiving is the hot turkey sandwiches with stuffing and gravy the next day. Well, that's also good. Row your cranberries. Yes, exactly. I'm just simply cooking this thing until the cranberries start to pop, which I think is probably going to be happening any time now. I've just turned up the temperature, in fact, a little bit to make sure that it does. Wow, we're at 9:30. I'm definitely running later than I have been some nights. Oh, and the fact that I can go until 9:30 without even realizing it actually is a good sign for me. It means that I'm definitely involved in this live video, and I appreciate that. Folks don't have to stay if they don't want to, but I will say again, in order to be included in the drawing for the cast iron skillet, please be sure to type in the secret word into this chat at least once. If you have already typed in the secret word, you do not need to type it again. I'm only keeping track here of when a person types it once. You could type it in at the beginning, you could type it in just before it ends. As long as you type it in at least once, you will be entered into the chat, into the contest. Also, it only works on this live video. The contest ends when this live video is finished. Oh, I do believe they're starting to pop. So typing the secret word into the actual comments of this YouTube video will not enter you into the contest. It's you folks who have been kind enough to show up here. Yep, they're starting to pop all right. It's you folks who have been who have shown up here. You are the ones who will be eligible to win that United We Stand cast iron skillet. Yes, indeed, it is starting to pop. It seems like everything that cooks has its own unique sound. You know, cranberries give this unique pop when they pop. It's some kind of a muffled pop, and yet it's got an incredible bass to it. It's like you can pretty much hear it deep within your ear when it pops, even though it's just a soft pop. It's really like nothing else I've ever heard. And once again, all I'm doing is simply cooking this in a mixture of sugar, orange juice, and some cinnamon. But yeah, we're getting close now. All right, so I don't think I'm going to be able to keep going until 10 o'clock tonight. I do understand that. Once this is done, we will call this a night. But yes, I will be sure to film the unveiling of the pie. Besides, the pie's going to have to cool when it comes out of the oven anyway. Okay, that's an expensive dog bowl. I'm not sure if you're talking about this or something else. All right, and a continual reminder not to make homemade cranberry sauce again. Oh, really, Leslie S. Did you have a problem with homemade cranberry sauce? I'm not arguing. I'm just curious if something happened to discourage it. It was when I started making homemade cranberry sauce that I fell in love with it. So again, I am not dissing you, and I'm not trying to argue. I'm just curious. What happened with homemade cranberry sauce that you say that you don't want to ever make it again? I hope there wasn't some kind of a tragedy involved. I would mash them a little. No, actually, just be patient. We are getting close because they are indeed starting to pop, and I'm hearing that pop as well. In fact, maybe I'll move the microphone just a little bit closer on the hope that you might be able to hear the pop. But we are getting close, in fact. We are almost at that point. And in fact, it does look like a fair number of these have popped already, as you can see. So, uh, could probably mash them after they're done, but I have never had a problem with that. Also, once I turn off the heat and this thing starts to cool, it will also congeal. It's not going to take on the same consistency as that jello stuff, but it will definitely be thicker. However, as you can see, most of these cranberries are now getting to the point where they are already popped. All right, my kiddo was trying to make a Dutch baby in a toaster oven. I hope it worked. That's the best I could say. And yeah, this is why I keep, okay, I can see this thing's boiling too. This is why I keep stirring this, because again, I don't want to burn these. But we are just about done here, because we are in fact getting that foam on top too. As I said, I've seen some videos where people skim off the foam. I have not had any problem with it. The foam does not have any kind of taste of its own. So it works fine, and I'd say at this point, we will be done in just a couple of minutes. Took longer than I expected to prepare that pie, but I have little doubt that the results will be worth it. Other than that, yeah, Leslie, just keep cooking, practice. Yes, exactly. Did you set the timer on the pie? Yes, I put the pie in just a little past 9 p.m. So that means we have a little less than 30 minutes to go on the pie. Now I think I could turn down the heat, in fact, because it looks like this thing is really just that. You saw how it was starting to really bubble there and boil. So I have turned down the heat to next to nothing at this point because I do believe we are just about finished. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I can smell that cinnamon all right. I hope I didn't use too much, but I'm not too worried because we definitely have cranberry sauce. Okay, that's Alexa's job to set the alarm. I have a Griswold high base heart and star waffle maker. Nice, Tessa. Tessa. I hope you've enjoyed using it. Sure wish Sniff-O-Vision was a thing. Oh yeah, exactly. I can smell this. It's got a wonderful, as I mentioned, it's got a cinnamon smell, but oh, the cranberries definitely have their own aroma as well. The reason why I chose the secret word, in fact, has something to do with cranberries, sort of. Once again, be sure, let me get that out one last time. If you have not yet typed in the secret word, please be sure to type in it at least once. But I'm sure there are some folks here who remember Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. And you remember the song he was singing about raspberry dressing. And especially over the past decade or so, some food makers have been coming out with raspberry pie. And the raspberry turns out to be a combination of I believe it's actually blackberries and one other. Oh man, now I've lost it. At first I was going to say cranberries, but that's not it. Anyway, I've actually made raspberry dressing myself. I've got to put that recipe back on my website. But anyway, that was kind of what made me think of that, in that they had that kind of dressing, whereas what we have is cranberry sauce. And that's definitely what we have here. Let me turn off the heat because we most definitely have cranberry sauce. The cranberries have popped and it's got a nice thick consistency to it. And that means that this is ready to be served. You could serve it hot or let it cool off, but either way, this is meant to be served over your turkey. Cranberry sauce. And this is what I fell in love with. And yeah, no, I have never had that canned jello stuff ever again. I have had people who tell me they like the canned jello stuff. And if that's what you like, more power to you. Please go ahead and keep eating it. My point, though, is still the same. Please try cranberry sauce. If you don't like it, well, then you don't like it. But you might turn out to be pleasantly surprised, as I was. And that's why I have made a point of doing my best to get folks every Thanksgiving to try cranberry sauce. All right. Okay, I think we've spent enough time here. Let me turn on the oven light. I think that's going to be the last thing we're going to do here. And, I do believe it may be working. Let me see if I can get a view here somehow. Despite the fact that my cover of my oven here, my oven door is still messy. Anyway, I do believe that pie is shrinking, which means the apples are indeed cooking. I will definitely give a reveal once it's all done. But still, tonight we managed to use the Lodge cast iron pie plate. We used a BSNR number 3 Red Mountain skillet to melt some butter. And of course, we used the BSNR saucepan to make our cranberry sauce. Because I think, even though the pie is not done yet, I'd have to say I think we've accomplished really what we wanted to accomplish, or at least what I wanted to accomplish. Let me get this microphone back over here again, because I do believe we are all set. As I said, I will show a reveal when that pie comes out of the oven, because I'm as curious as anyone. That's not my recipe. I have made apple pie quite a few times. I enjoy making apple pie. I have not yet made, until tonight, a cranberry almond apple pie, and I'm definitely looking forward to trying it as well. See how it all looks out. But nonetheless, Cynthia Wesley, not that I don't like it, it's the majority of cooking and the time be limited. Well, there is that. Of course, you could get some help in the kitchen somehow, or maybe even ask friends to make it for you and then bring it. That's probably the easiest thing to do, in fact. Huggy Bear, that's the way it is at my house. Pumpkin gets eaten on the same day, apple the next day for breakfast. That sounds good. Will you be using a masher? An immersion blender to make the sauce too thin? I have served my cranberry sauce exactly like this. You could indeed, okay, sorry about that. You could indeed use an immersion blender or a masher. I don't see why not. But I have not had a problem serving my cranberry sauce just like this, because it's worked just fine. If you want to use a masher, go ahead. I mean, after all, you're the one who's going to be eating it. So if you want to make your own modifications, please do so. Do it so that it tastes good the way you want it to do. That's really what it all comes down to. It's your kitchen. Do what you want to do to have fun and make it all turn out good. However, and here's where as far as these recipes are concerned, it's almost like the pirate captain from Pirates of the Caribbean. The one he says, we don't think of them so much as rules as we do call them guidelines. And you can definitely say that about any recipe at all, including mine, or especially mine. Okay, I make my cranberry sauce in the freezer. Well, that's interesting. I lightly mash. Potato rice or work? I don't see why not. Give it a try. You're the boss of your cranberry sauce. Yes, exactly. Who's in charge? You or the cranberries? Definitely you. Okay, I won a turkey at a trap shoot, and we'll be having it at my brother's home. I cook everything from scratch except the cranberry sauce. I got turkey legs to roast to make the gravy the day before. Well, that all sounds good, but as I said, whatever is convenient for you. I make the cranberry sauce from scratch because it's easy and because I love it. And well, give it a try. Have a friend make it and have the friend bring the cranberry sauce and then see if you like it. You can still provide your own, but maybe you'll like it. Okay. And I could keep going on, but again, we're already an hour and 40 minutes into this. In fact, we're almost 2 hours into this because I started this early because I had to cut up those apples. So, yeah, I have definitely been talking on and on and on and on here, which usually means, again, I get all involved in these videos because they are, in fact, a lot of fun. And here's where I pretty much say what I say every week because I find these live videos a lot of fun to do, especially having you folks here. You folks are really what makes these live videos so much fun, because in that I'm having a conversation with you. Even though I'm talking and talking and talking and talking, it's really because you folks are here and you're making your comments and having fun as well. That really makes this more of a two-way thing, and that's why I enjoy this. I've been doing videos live on TikTok Live recently, especially, and it's not the same. You can't interact with them the way you can here, and I definitely prefer the live videos here. So I can only thank everybody really very much for your participation here, just being here, just chatting and having fun. So once again, this is the last chance to type in the secret word. But other than that, yes, and good night to Cast Iron Fanatic, and thank you very much for a riveting stream of Pop Goes the Cranberry. Well, I do my best. And thank you as well to Brian Gilcrease and Kevin Brown and Thomas Camacho. Nice to meet you there. Greg Hart and Kimberly Miller and WC. And I'm sure he would indeed be proud of the sauce. Notice I'm not saying it just because, again, the secret word is really just for you folks here in the chat. And I will be gathering a transcript of this chat, and then I will be using that to make a random drawing of everyone who has typed in the secret word at least once. And then the winner, chosen at random, will receive, let me show that one last time. The winner will receive the United We Stand Lodge Cast Iron Skillet, made in 2021 for Cracker Barrel. This is a modern day Lodge cast iron skillet, which means it does indeed have the rough surface of a Lodge cast iron pan. And there is nothing wrong with that at all. I love cooking in my Lodge cast iron pans. And so I have no doubt that you will enjoy using this. Or if you just want to use it as a display piece, you can do that. It's your cast iron and you can do whatever you want. But either way, thank you, everybody, for taking your time to come here tonight. And after all, tomorrow is 2 weeks from Thanksgiving. So, yeah, we are getting close to that time once again. But at least we still have 2 weeks to prepare. Okay, and yeah, stay strong, William Hurt. And thank you as well to N Coyote 102 and Pawpaw Dan and Old Fashioned Coffee Pot. Gathering a transcript? Yes, exactly. So, yeah, I just scanned through the transcript for the secret word. That's all. And thank you as well to everybody who's been kind enough to show up. And we will do this all again, well, next week, or maybe even sooner, because I've got a couple of things that I want to do before the weekend. And I'll be showing that to you as soon as I can. But until then, well, once again, see you next Wednesday. Mouse, there it is. And the contest is done.